review on, oh, thanks, Jess. A little bit of a review on capping and profit share and how it works and how it's set up. So Maureen and Vicky, who are our lovely education chairs this year, asked if we would get back to doing some profit share sessions again, and really get back to more of the fundamentals about what profit share is, how it works, why we have it, where it came from, and all of that. So for some of you, this will be a review, and for others, it will be, you know, some new information, and hopefully some new information for everybody. But basically, the first thing we'll talk about is capping, because capping plays into our profit share system. So we have a cap in our market center of $20,000. So the idea is that when you contribute to what we call our company dollar, and that comes from your split. So for simplicity, we'll say you're on a 70-30 split, which is our no risk split. So from your 70-30 split, your 30% that goes to KW is what forms what we call our company dollar. And once you've paid your 20,000 into the company, you're capped. And that's why you'll hear us celebrating in the monthly meeting our cappers, because it's exciting, because once you cap, then you're on 100% commissions until your anniversary date. And your anniversary date is determined by when you join KW. So if I was a new agent and I just joined KW today, February 25th, then my anniversary date is going to be March 1st. So that's typically how it works. So your anniversary date is determined purely on when you join. It has nothing to do with whether you join the team, you know, anything like that. It has to do with when you physically join KW, and your anniversary date is set in stone. Can't be changed. It is what it is. So basically, once you've paid in your 20,000 cap, and we do have a royalty that we have to pay to KWRI. So for those who are new or newer, KW has a lot of acronyms. So if you hear me talking in acronyms and you don't know what I'm talking about, like shout, raise your hand, put it in the chat, and I will explain. So KWRI is Keller Williams Realty International. So that's how we refer to them, as KWRI for short, and that's basically the company as a whole. Okay, all of the market centers, our office is a market center, all make up KWRI. So the idea is that we pay a royalty because we are a franchise to KWRI, which is capped at $3,000. So essentially, your cap to the market center is $20,000, and then your royalty is $3,000 to KWRI, so $23,000 total. So once you cap and you've paid your $20,000 in, you're on 100%. And that 30% that comes from your 70-30 split, that contributes towards your cap, we call that company dollar. So when it comes into us, it is our revenue, and that's how we refer to it. So when you hear about us talking about company dollar, that's what we get as KW, as a market center, in revenues from the splits. And the reason that's important is because with profit share, in order for profit share to happen and pay out, three things need to happen. We need to be profitable, first of all. So when I'm talking about us being profitable as a market center, once we have our company dollar come in, then we have our royalty comes off of that, which is what we send off to KWRI, and then our approved expenses come off of that. So because we are a profit share company, we close our books at the end of every month. And we also have to submit budgets annually. We actually submit them biannually and then review them quarterly. But we submit our budget to KWRI, and we have approved expenses that we have to follow. So if we have an expense that isn't approved, then we have a few checks in place where that comes into play. So if we have an expense that's not approved, we have an ALC, which is our Associate Leadership Council, which they review our expenses and our budget. We also submit our budget to our region, which for us is the Canadian region. And then we also submit it to KWRI. So you'll hear us talking a lot when we refer to expenses and company dollar about things being above the line and below the line. So with approved expenses, we have our company dollar comes in, that comes from the splits, right? Then we have the royalty come off, and then we have our approved expenses come off. And what's left in that is what we then profit share on. So say we had an expense that wasn't approved, that comes below the line. Okay, so that comes out of the owner side of the money. So I'll get into a little bit more of an example on that, but just to give you an idea of how that works. So how many of you have seen the profit share white paper? Anybody? Oh, okay.
No.
There we are. So let me show you.
I think I have, but I'm not
Andrew,
sure.
yes, I'm sure you've seen it.
I think Ron shared it with me once, and I was like, "Wow, that's interesting."
All right. It doesn't seem to want to let me. Just a sec. It's not letting me share my screen. Sorry, guys. It's just got to go into my settings and allow Zoom here. There we go. Can you see it now? Yeah, okay. So this is the white paper on profit share. We'll put this in the chat so you guys have it. But it's something that KWRI puts out every year to every 2 years. I think they skipped a year with COVID and the pandemic. And it's basically highlights. It's a great read, but essentially I'll summarize it here in that the foundation for profit share and why it was started was when Keller Williams was started by Gary Keller many years ago now. They had a situation happen where 7 of the top agents left the brokerage and went to a competing brokerage. And Gary gathered the rest of his top agents together and said, what can we do to make this the company that no one wants to leave? What can we do to make this a partnership, to make it collaborative so that we both have an interest in the growth of the company and seeing the company succeed? And so this was the basis of the very first Associate Leadership Council. So these agents formed the first Associate Leadership Council, which acts like a board of directors in a typical corporate setup if you come from that background. And the agents came back to Gary and said, we'd like a share in the ownership. We'd like to be a stakeholder in the company. And so Gary and his MCA at the time, the Market Center Administrator, which is what is Aaron's role for our Market Center, and the members of that ALC came up with a profit share system. Because we are what's called a revenue capped model, everybody caps, right? So because of that, a lot of the growth for the market centers depend on the market center growing and bringing new agents that are productive into the office. But also, we want to grow our office with people that are like-minded, that are in the culture, that fit our culture, and that do business the way Keller Williams agents do business. So the idea was that the agents and the Associate Leadership Council came up with the idea of profit sharing. And at the time, this was a very novel idea, especially for a real estate company, and the only real estate company that was doing profit share. And basically, they came up with a system that encouraged the agents who helped the company grow by referring agents who were like-minded in culture, who joined the company, to be able to reward the agent who helped encourage that person to join and become part of the Keller Williams family. So the idea behind profit share was established in that meeting, and it's had a few tweaks along the way, but overall, this happened in 1986. Overall, the bones of the program have really stayed the same. And so you guys don't, I'll send this to you so you can read it. But essentially, the idea was that every person who joins Keller Williams has to name a sponsor. And the sponsor is the person who is responsible for bringing them to the company. So it could be, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the person they talk to first. It doesn't mean it's necessarily the person they talk to last, but it's the person who is the most influential in their decision to join Keller Williams. And so that whoever that person is, for the agent joining, they name that person as their sponsor. Everyone who joins Keller Williams has to name a sponsor, okay? So you cannot join without naming a sponsor. So the idea was that the direct individual who encouraged this person to join would be their level 1 sponsor. And that's the person who directly named you. And that, as you see when I show you the different levels, our profit share system is now a 7-level system. And you'll see the different percentages, but the level 1 sponsor, who is the person who's directly responsible, is the highest percentage in that 7 levels. So as you can see, you've got your level 1, and then level 2 are individuals who name your level 1 as their direct sponsor. And then it goes on, level 3 names your level 2 as their direct sponsor. So it goes as deep as 7 levels. So profit share for us in Canada and the US, we have what's called profit share. So as I explained before, we close our books at the end of every month. So if you try to go and ask Erin a question around transmittal time, she might not be able to answer you immediately because she's in the middle of closing out our books, and we have to transmit by the third day after the end of the month. So month end is always very busy around the office, and that's why you'll see the girls. And as you guys know, a lot of closings typically happen the end of the month in our business anyway. So you already have a lot of commission checks, closing checks coming in from lawyers and everything at the end of the month. So we're trying to get all of those in so that we can turn them around and get you guys paid as quickly as possible. So month end is busy, right, Erin? So the idea with the profit share is once we've got our company dollar in, our expenses come off, then we have what's left for our profit share. Then that what's left between that amount, it's almost a 50-50 split. It works out to be 52% goes to the owners and 48% goes to the agents who help the company grow, which is the agents in the profit share system. So this is when this was founded, it was very unconventional because in a typical real estate company setup, the owners would take 100% of the profits. They wouldn't consider sharing any of the profits back with their agents, right? So profit share happens throughout all of Keller Williams in Canada and the US. So you can name someone, you can impact someone joining any of the market centers within any of the provinces in Canada and any of the states in the US where there is a Keller Williams Market Center. So that's exciting in itself. And then we had the other system, which is called Growth Share. And this was founded when Keller Williams Worldwide became a division of Keller Williams. And that is for all of the market centers outside of Canada and the US. And with Growth Share, rather than it being the market center that's splitting the profits, the market center is taking a portion of their revenues that come from the agents and submitting it to their region, and then the region profit shares. And with Growth Share, rather than it being monthly, Growth Share is quarterly. So those are the main differences. The reason they had to do that with Growth Share is because they ended up in multiple different countries with multiple jurisdictions, tax rules, accounting rules, etc. So they had to make tweaks to the system, and this was the way for them to do a unified program that would work for all of worldwide, rather than having to, have 55 different systems, because Keller Williams Worldwide, we're now, I think, in 55 countries. They announced a few new ones at Family Reunion last week, so I may be a couple countries off on that now. So essentially, you can also grow your profit share tree through encouraging someone to join one of the worldwide market centers. And you'll see, as you start to travel, as we all start to travel again after COVID, and you're into some, especially some of the Caribbean countries are starting to see market centers there. They just opened St. Martin in the last year. They're in Costa Rica. They're in many countries, and also in Europe now as well. And their worldwide is continuing to grow. So it's a really, really exciting opportunity. It doesn't just limit you to North America. It's worldwide. So to give you an example, this is as of 2020. So this is a profit share, KW cumulative profit share from 1997 to 2020. So as of February 2020, we were at 1.38 billion was distributed in profit share, which is incredible. So that is KWRI total. And the really sort of impressive thing is that even within Canada, in the last year, we've hit records. And in our own market center, we've hit records. So our profit share for last year was $817,000. So that was money that went back to our agents within our company. That was a record for us. It's the best year we've ever had since we opened in 11 years. And that put us #1 in Canada for profit share. So we were #1 in our region. And it's absolutely, mind-blowing that we reached that level. I remember when we hit cumulatively $1 million over, I think it took us 5 years initially, and we thought that was incredible. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. And now to look at where we are, and to the fact that we profit shared over $800,000 in a year here in Nova Scotia and PEI is absolutely astonishing. And we're so proud of everyone for helping us grow the market center to this point. And Nova Scotia and PEI just growing, and it's been amazing. And the rest of Canada can't ignore us now. So so that's sort of a little bit of a summary about the last year. So I know for some of you who are more detail oriented, our high Cs will want to know sort of how the formula works. So if you look at, this is the percentage distribution here. So you've got your level 1 at 50%, and then your level 2 is at 10%. Your level 3 is at 5%. Level 4 is at 5%. And then you'll see it starts to increase back up. So your level 5 goes back up to 7.5%, level 6, 10%, and level 7, 12.5%. And the reason they did that is they when they worked out the formula, they crunched all the numbers, and they wanted to encourage people to grow the profit share deep. And now you'll see that many people, as you don't have to have a lot of people in your, we refer to it as a profit share tree, to see huge results. And often it starts very small, and you'll hear, even talking with many of the agents here in our own office, that, their first profit share payment was $20, $50, $7. Like it starts very small, and then it incrementally grows to the point where it becomes it's passive income. And that was the whole idea behind it, was to give agents a passive stream of income so that they're rewarded for helping the company grow, and also they have something that helps them plan for their future, their exit potentially out of the business for retirement. So with profit share, that's one of the other wonderful things, is that once you're with Keller Williams for 7 years, your profit share is vested, meaning that it's yours, it stays. So unless you leave for a competing brand, your profit share stays. So if you decide to get out of the business, retire, etc., you still keep your profit share. And the other thing about profit share is you can will it. So when you complete your paperwork, you can actually will that to a spouse, a child, etc., and that legacy lives on for you. And this third point here talks about the 100% plus. So that's what they mean by that, is you have the ability to earn more profit share than you pay into your market center in cap. And we've had agents here accomplish that. So they've earned more than $20,000 in a year in profit share. So they essentially had their cap paid for in profit share, which is amazing. So let me just keep going here. So that's that. Let me just grab. I've had it open. Maybe I didn't. Just a second. So this is the profit share tree. So the idea is that you name your sponsor, and anyone who names you in their first level you're going to receive 50%. Then the second level, 10%, and then third level, 3.5%. And then it keeps going, right? This is just the first 3 levels of the tree. So you can see that if that person names 2 people, and that person names 2 people, and that person names 2 people, how it can just exponentially grow to a huge, huge tree. I'm just looking at the chat. Yes, build it wide and grow it deep. Yes, Susan, exactly. That's exactly it. Now, some important things to remember when you're talking about profit share, and especially if you're looking at it from the perspective of trying to grow your profit share tree. There are some simple scripts that you can use, and I know people always kind of say, "Oh, I don't like scripts." It doesn't necessarily mean you have to use it word for word, but it just gives you an idea of how to start the conversation. I always say with scripts, it's better to move them into your own vocabulary. You don't want it to sound like it's can't, essentially, right? So the first thing, it's just a simple conversation with an agent that you've done a deal on. that you feel would be a good fit. Obviously, you know, we want people who do business like you, who are good to work with. So if you're, you know, the co-op agent on the other side that you've just done a deal with was really great to work with, they do a great business, and you think they'd be a good fit, the next step would be to ask them if your team leader could give them a call. And it doesn't have to be you know, a long conversation, but it's important that you make that introduction before you give a name to Laura Lee, so that they're expecting her call. If they're just blindsided by a call without knowing that the connection's been made, it can throw someone off, and it starts it off on the wrong foot. So it's really important that you make that introduction to them first before Laura Lee picks up the phone and calls them and tries to have a chat with them. And often, you know, it can be as simple as, I really, you know, Maureen, I really enjoyed working with you on the deal on 123 Main Street. You were fantastic. You know, so glad we were able to get the deal together. My team leader, Laura, would love to talk to you and just say thank you for what a wonderful transaction. Would you mind if she called you? That's all it has to be. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. And then you give Laura Lee their name and give Laura Lee a little detail about what the property was. They were great to work with, and Laura Lee will call them and start to establish a connection with them. You can take it to the next step yourself if you feel comfortable doing that. Andrew can speak on this. He's done a really good job of really getting into relationship with the person. So if you just call them and say, you should come to KW, we're fantastic and it's great, and blah, 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 and you fire hose them with all the information, you're going to overwhelm them. So you have to sort of build that rapport and relationship with them. So it's important that you know, it's not something that you're necessarily going to turn around and the next day they're going to say, oh yes, great, I'd love to talk to you and I'd like to come. You have to start, you know, maybe it's meeting them for coffee and talking about business. Maybe it's giving them a copy of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the Red Book, as a thank you for, you know, the great transaction. A little gift always goes a long way. And that gesture and that gratitude that you show them can be much more impactful than you think it is. And they remember that. And especially if it's something like the Red Book, for instance, or the One Thing, or, you know, we have a whole arsenal of great books that are all about the systems and models that Keller Williams has in how to grow their business. And if they want to take their business to, you know, the next level, that really can be something that encourages them to really take another look at maybe Keller Williams is the right fit for them. The other thing that often I find helps people, you know, understand what we have to offer that may be different from where they are currently, is inviting them to some of our training. And, you know, right now where it's virtual, it's very simple to invite someone to training, but we're going to start now, yay, to have some in-person training again, right? So I know Erin's laughing at me. We miss you guys in the office. We can't wait to see everybody.
Don't jinx
so
it.
We're going to start. I know, right? Knock on, I don't have no wood to knock on. Somebody knock on wood for me. But you know, we've had some really wonderful training sessions with local trainers. We've had some wonderful faculty members from Keller Williams University and who have done training for us, and they really find that it's a huge benefit when they see sort of the level of training that KW offers. I see a question in the chat. Linda, is the training always in Bedford? Not always, Linda. If we have a trainer that comes in from out of province, we typically have it in the HRM area just because we're more concentrated here. But we also have partnered with the Market Center in New Brunswick for some of the big trainers. So, you know, we had Gene Rivers here in Moncton. Everybody traveled from the 3 provinces to Moncton to see him, because he's just such an amazing trainer, to have him come in. So and most of our training now is offered virtually as well. So if it's you know, more difficult for you to actually travel into the office, then you can attend virtually as well. Just see. Oh, okay, you guys are answered. Okay, perfect. Any questions? No?
Yes, I do have a couple questions.
Yeah.
I couldn't seem to get myself off mute. My mouse wasn't working. I'm like, come on. Okay, so I do have a couple questions. One's relating to training. So are we going to keep the hybrid model of also doing it in Zoom for, you know, moments when you just cannot get to the office? Because from a productivity standpoint, I love Zoom. From a not seeing you guys standpoint, I totally get why we want it in the office, but it's not always convenient.
Yeah, no, that's the plan. It's going to be a hybrid. So, I mean, Vicky and Maureen are both not into.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be hybrid. So Vicky and Maureen, I don't know, a few of you joined after the beginning, but Vicky and Maureen are our 2 lovely chairs of the education committee this year. So they, if you're interested in having a say in what you see for education, they would love to have some new members on their committee. And they are working on the education calendar every month to make sure that we have a wide variety of training. And because we have business centers, offices throughout the province, and we're not all local to one specific office, it makes it so much easier to have the hybrid. So yes, everything will always be offered with a digital virtual component. So you can jump on Zoom if you can't physically get here.
Nice. All right, second question was relating to profit share. The second question is, if someone once vetted decides to retire and then decides retirement sucks and decides to come back, are they still vetted if they come back to KW?
Yeah.
First part of that question. And the second part would be, what if they come out of retirement and then decide to go to another agency? Do they then lose profit share?
Yes, that's correct. So you're vested after 7 years. For those who joined KW before April 1st, 2020, it's 3 years. But the IALC, which is our international ALC, so we have our local ALC, which feeds to a regional ALC, which then feeds to an international ALC. So that international ALC, it meets usually at Family Reunion and Mega Camp, which are our 2 major conferences every year. And that's where, you know, it's, if you haven't attended, I highly encourage you to attend. And right now they're virtual as well. The IALC actually got postponed in just this last week at Family Reunion. So they're going to have it in March. But they vote on any sort of major change to our systems. So that vesting period was one of the votes that was done by the IALC. So April 1st, 2020, it was 3 years vesting. After April 1st, it's 2020. If you joined, it's 7 years vesting. And yes, if you leave to go to a competing brokerage, then you lose your profit share. It doesn't matter whether you're vested or not.
Cool. So yeah. I signed my paperwork on March 31st. Does that mean that I have 3 years?
Yeah.
I'm vested in 3? Okay.
April 1st is the hard deadline. So yes. Yeah.
Just under the wire.
You're not going anywhere anyway.
No. I'm not only just drinking the Kool-Aid, I'm now trying to make it. So
yes, there you go. And so if you like to Sherry's point, if you do decide, you know, to retire and you know, you're not going to actually physically be selling, there's just an annual fee to participate in the profit share program, which Erin, is it 20? How much is the annual fee?
25 plus tax.
Yeah. So to keep to keep yourself in the profit share system. So one of the things that's really cool, and Susan mentioned it in the chat, is often we refer to it as mailbox money because we used to get the profit share slip in our mailboxes when we had physical mail. Now it's all virtual. But after we transmit at the end of the month, you'll see your profit share comes in on the 21st of the following month. So everything's submitted to KWRI, and then KWRI takes care of actually administering the profit share system. So you'll just get an automatic deposit into your bank account from KWRI with your profit share. And that's why we call it mailbox money, because oftentimes you forget it even happens, that it's coming, that it's the 21st, and the next thing you know, surprise, and there's this mysterious amount in your bank account. And I'll never forget, I think it was Brenda Kay. At one point, she came to Linda and said, what was that amount that they put in my account? And we said, well, that was your profit share, Brenda. That's what that was. So yeah, it's a really, and that's why they talk about it being passive income, because you don't actively have to do anything. Once you've made the introduction and the person's joined, it just continues to grow, right? And as long as that person has contributed to the company dollar for that month and we're profitable for that month, then you get a portion of their profit share. If the person is capped, then obviously they're not paying into company dollar. So then there would not be contributing to the profit share pool. So you wouldn't receive any profit share on any of their closings if they're already capped. So that's, those are the main things that have to happen in order for profit share to work. We are, I think in the over 11 years since we've opened, we may have had 1 month, 2 months. I'd have to go back and double check our trends that we weren't profitable way back when we first opened. We've been profitable every month. So
only 1 month we weren't.
Only 1 month. Thank you, Erin. She verifies my facts. So yeah. I'm just checking the chat here to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, so Susan just mentioned there is a Facebook group run by Aaron Kaufman. It's called the Profit Share Mastermind. He is a great trainer and a great resource about profit share. We've actually had Aaron do training sessions here in our market center, and he's always posting great things. There's a lot of great masterminding around scripts, discussion around how to grow your tree, how to approach an agent, how to build that relationship, all of that. So if you're not part of that group, you definitely check that out on Facebook. And yeah, it's a really good one to be part of. Andrew just said they lost track after they sponsored a few people, and they checked the other day and they're close to 30 in the tree, if you're not mistaken. Yeah, Andrew, I think you are. The last time I looked at the reports for everyone's profit share, you definitely are getting close to 30. Or retire and have them to be part of your profit share. You absolutely can. So I'll use Valerie Folk as an example of that. Valerie was our first broker and team leader when we first opened. And when we first opened, we were just 40 agents. So the team leader and broker were one role initially, and Valerie had that role. Valerie has obviously since retired, and she continues to get her profit share and continues to recommend that people join KW and then receives the benefit of that. So yeah, absolutely, you can do that. We've got other agents.
We've also had an agent. Yeah, we've also had an agent move to Alberta where there isn't a KW, but he was vested, and he still is referring people here to our market center and earning profit share because of that.
Yeah. And they're working on getting a KW in Alberta. That Canada is so we're not Alberta is one of the provinces where there currently is not a Keller Williams Market Center. So they are actively working to get one open there. That is in the works, I am told, by region. But yes, we do. There are market centers in pretty much we're coast to coast now, and there's the prairies there where we've got a couple holes that they're working on filling. But Linda, my son and I are going to be a team. How should I position us? So Linda, typically with teams, especially if you're getting into like family teams, if one team member is looking at going to be stepping out of the business sooner than the other, it usually makes the most sense to have that person be the first, and then the next person name that. So we often see it with parent-child teams where like I can use myself for example. Dad is first, then me. I named him, not the other way around, because he likely is gonna step back a little sooner than I am. Yeah, so that's typically how we see it positioned with parent-child teams. Susan's just commenting, having a team leader role in KW, this is your full-time recruiter, your focus on building relationships with agents and then introduce them to the team leader. Exactly. Thank you for summarizing that. Yeah, that's Laurelie's job. That's her role. She is very good at it. She's trained to do that. You don't feel like you need to be a recruiter. That's not the goal of Profit Share at all. It's about you establishing relationships, getting to know your friends, your co-op agents that may not be with KW that you think would be a great fit for KW and that you'd like to actually work with, and see them in our office. And that's where we call it like a warm introduction, where you would make that warm introduction to Laurelie and just make sure that you communicate that to Laurelie so that she knows the connection, because then she will keep you updated on the progress. So if she has a phone call that then results in an actual meeting with the person, she'll let you know that she got to have a meeting. And if the meeting then results into another meeting or them making the step to join, she's going to keep you updated on that progress along the way. And it also is important for her to know that, because we have some wonderful agents that are looking to grow their profit share tree, and sometimes more than one of you are talking to the same person. So it's important for Laurelie to know that, because then she can help direct them when that's the case. The person joining makes the decision on who is the most influential, and sometimes there can be more than one person who's talked to them and made an impact. So it's important for Laurelie to know that as well. Christina, can you give some examples of ways to have a conversation to create a strong interest with agents to bring over? Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. It can be as simple as, I really enjoyed working with you on the deal on 123 Main Street. You dealt with X issue, that septic issue, really well. I'm really glad we were able to keep the deal together and make our buyers and sellers really happy. I really like the way you do business. Would love to chat. If you're interested, would love to chat with you more about Keller Williams. Right? It doesn't have to be a complicated thing. It can be, I really enjoyed working with you. I was talking to my team leader about you the other day. She'd love to give you a call to say thank you for what a great job you did on this deal. Would you mind taking a call from Laura? And then, if you feel comfortable and you've gotten a little bit of a relationship established and you want to actually, meet them, get to know them a little bit better, then it could simply be inviting them to Tim's or Starbucks or wherever for a coffee, to chat about business. And it doesn't have to be anything more complicated than that to get to know, and it just a simple, I really enjoyed working with you, would love to grab a coffee with you sometime to, get to know you a little better and chat about, what you think's working really well in this market. Right? It doesn't have to be really complicated. And, sometimes, like I said earlier, giving the gesture of a thank you gift also can sometimes open that door too. So I mentioned that earlier as well. Giving them the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, as a gift. Giving them the One Thing book as a gift. A bottle of wine. I know Andrew and Angela's team, they give bottles of wine to their co-op agents as a thank you. Some sent, others will send a hand thank you card as, just an acknowledgement of, great work on a transaction. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. And sometimes it's as simple as a handwritten thank you card and a $10 gift certificate to Tim's to, treat them to their next coffee. Just a little gesture like that. It doesn't have to be that, but that's an approach that some people have taken and it's worked very well, right? So it's all in what you're comfortable with.
Another one is, and Laura Lee told me this one, with all the new agents is, with our quick transaction, our money coming in, the moment that we get paid, if it happens to be the same day as closing, especially if it's the same day as closing, hey, just wanted to reach out, just reminding, we just got paid today. Thank you very much for everything, blah, blah, blah. It can be just something as simple as that. And then there's a lot of companies out there that still don't do that. There's a lot that still get checks and don't get direct deposit.
You're right.
One of the bigger companies really surprised me on that one.
Yes. Yeah. And that's one of our value adds. And that's a great point in that as soon as we have the commission check from the lawyer, we turn it around and EFT that to you immediately, where, a lot of the other brokerages are still cutting checks. And in some cases, you're waiting a week to 2 weeks or more for a check or to be paid from a closing. So yeah, that's a great point. And another really, great script, if you want to call it a script, to, have that conversation with a co-op agent is that, I just got paid on this deal. It made me think of you because, I really enjoyed working with you. Thanks so much. Da, 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 right?
It's funny, actually, when I was, this was, I think, in mid 2018 or early 2019, I forget exactly, but I was doing a deal with Maggie McGilvery when she was at Royal LePage Atlantic, and it closed fine. My parents were buying a duplex in the West End, and I was like, oh, I just got paid, that's fantastic. And she's like, what? And that was part of the conversation that happened after.
Yes. Yeah. So see, it works. And
I felt bad, I was gloating, but anyway.
It wasn't really meant in that way, but yeah, Andrew and Angela have been very purposeful around building their profit share tree. Al and Christine have also been very purposeful around building their profit share tree. So, when you start to think about it and make that part of your conversations, you'll start to see that you get there in increments, right? As I said, it's not an immediate thing. But when you become more purposeful about it, you'll start to see the results. And yeah, Andrew just commented over 30,000 last year, their best year, and it allows them to send their youngest to a really good school without extra costs, right? So that's the whole idea around profit share. Yeah, Susan, you have to always come from a place of contribution. People appreciate the training, sharing training, gifting the book, etc. What is the cost on Red Books for gifts? Aaron can answer that one. Oh, Andrew said 25 on Amazon. Yeah, 25. They're about 25. Yeah, no, we pay the same for ours. We don't get unfortunately, we don't get them any cheaper. And the One Thing is another really great book too. But the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book is great because it's got all the models and systems in it that are, prevalent in KW. So that's why that's a good one. Just making sure I didn't miss any other questions. I don't think so. No, okay. Any other questions? Let me just see.
I just wanted to mention another really easy thing to do is when you cap, we post a cap or post on our Facebook page. Super simple for you guys to share it to your own page. You're going to be friends with other agents and other companies. They're going to ask you what that means, right? Most companies, they don't get paid 100%. That's a very easy way for you to say, oh, now I get to keep 100% of my commissions. And if they're not getting 100%, that's a big deal.
Super excited about the moment that I can do that.
Mhm.
Aaron's right. One thing that's always worked for me, and Angela as well, is that because, you know, when you get to be in the industry for a certain period of time and you do deals with other agents and they get to know you and like you, hopefully, then if you're on social media with them and you're a poster child, your own poster child for the brand, they'll come to you. You don't even need to reach out to them.
Yeah. And Andrew was our previous chair of the growth committee on the ALC. And he's been posting a lot on Facebook around profit share and what it's done for he and Angela and their family and the difference it's made and why they came to KW, and continually posting that so that the messaging is going out. And that's exactly what's happened, right, Andrew? You've had people come to you, they've approached you now because they see you posting these things, right? Like, what do you mean you can send your son to school? What do you mean you were able to buy a hot tub or whatever, right?
Well, it's eye-opening. That's the thing. So
Yeah.
I still remember when we were at Exit, if we had been at Exit Realty in 2018, we would have paid in like $80,000 in splits. If we were there in 2019, I'm not even going to mention the number because it's 6 digits. You know, that's a big deal. And I remember when we sat with your dad, Melissa, I almost called you Mel again, sorry. And in the summer before we even left, and he showed us the comp sheet, we were just like, holy shit, there's other stuff out there. The part of my language, sorry, but like it was eye-opening. It was shocking to the core, to the point that we felt so sick to our stomachs knowing we had to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, too, Exit likes to go on about their sponsoring.
So it was like, feeling.
Cut out there for a
He cut
second.
out.
Kind of bad connection.
What I was going to add is like Exit will tell you about their sponsoring. So if you talk to an Exit agent, they say, oh, I get 10%. They get 10% of an agent's income. And so when you can only get, once you make 100,000, they'll give you 90%, but always you're giving 10% of every paycheck to that person that sponsored you. So this program is much better because it's coming from the company, not out of the person you sponsored's pocket.
Well, interestingly enough, Exit's trying to stop the bleeding. So they are now given the opportunity to cap their agents out after 100K. And the broker will no longer take that 10%.
Wow, that's different for them.
Yeah. They did it because they're losing a lot of people.
Yeah, they were giving people 80-20. And when I said, why aren't I getting 80-20? And they said, oh, well, you haven't been here long enough. I said, well, see ya. Bye. I'll go where I'm appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's the main difference, right, with profit share through KW, is that it doesn't come from the agents. It doesn't come off the backs of the agents. So it's coming from the company, right? So that's the big difference. And you know, there are other models now have come out, you know, that are not profit share, that they call them different terms, similar to Exit. There's all kinds of different hybrid kind of things out there now, but nothing's really come close to what the profit share system is and how it works. It's established itself, and they've changed, tweaked it a little bit along the way to make adjustments to improve it. And it's amazing how it works, and it rewards the people who help the company grow, right? And a lot of people now, when they've becoming really focused on it, have seen incredible increases in their profit share. And like I said, you don't have to have a lot of people in your profit share tree. Even if you only had one person in your first line, but that person brought in a person, and that person brought in a person, and that person brought in a person, right? You're building it deep. So it doesn't have to be that you have 15 people in your first line for it to work. And, some people say, well, we've heard this from some people, well, it's too late to get in on this now. It's not, right? KW is growing, and we just proved that even here in our own market center last year with, the profit share that we achieved. And, 11 years ago when we opened the office, we would never have thought that we would have profit shared that amount in 1 year, and look where we are, right? So it's continuing to grow. And with the growth of the company in Canada, the growth of the company worldwide, there's endless opportunities. There's tons of opportunity. It's amazing. It's incredible. Let's see a couple other questions. Another value add at KW, everyone pays the same amount of money. There aren't backroom deals for agents based on productivity. Yes, Susan, thank you. Great point. Yes, everyone has the same deal. It's the same cat for everybody. So yeah. Any other questions? Jess, can you post the white pages and the there is I have a script document I'll share with you guys. It has I think 2 or 3 scripts on it that you can kind of use as a model. Again, you don't have to take them word for word, just use them as a guide. I know some people like to actually have something that they can work off of. So Jess will put
Melissa,
those.
I don't have.
Oh, we lost you again.
Yeah. Could you send me that white paper? Because I think I might have had it once, but I don't have it anymore.
Andrew, I just sent it out by email to everyone that's on this.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. Yes, we'll send it to you. Jessica's on it. She's very efficient. Thanks, Jess. And if you are interested in really focusing on your growth of your profit share tree, we do have a growth committee on the ALC. As I mentioned, Andrew was the chair last year. This year it's Grant and Wayne, and they're growth committee chairs. So if you want to be a part of that conversation and that dialogue, you can reach out to Grant or Wayne or myself, and I can connect you. And they're happy to have more members on their committee as well. And that's the focus of the growth committee, is as helping agents grow their profit share and helping attract agents to our office. So if that's something that interests you, you can absolutely join their committee. And as I mentioned, I know Maureen and Vicky are chairing education. They'd love to have more people on their committee. And so if you aren't involved in one of the committees, certainly something to consider. And all of the chairs love to have to hear. The whole idea of the ALC is to be a representation of you, the agents, and the committees to form for the chairs to have it. It doesn't work if they don't have input from you guys, right? That's the whole point. So built by agents for agents. That's our motto for KW, right? So that's why we value your input. And thank you, everybody. Did I miss any other questions? Let me just see. Yeah, Susan just asked if we can share them on the Facebook page so everyone has them. Yes, absolutely, we will. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much,
I
Melissa.
hope you have a
Thank
great
you,
day. And if,
Melissa.
you're welcome. If you have any other questions, you know where to find me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Support
Thanks.
in any way. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.